Hello, my name is Danny, and I have one crazy story all for you to listen to. It is about my former crazy roommate. I will make a brief backstory, which then end up leading up to I found my new roommate. For the past 2 years, I have been living with my best friend, Michael. Michael and I have been best friends since middle school, and we have been such close friends. But one day he told me that he was moving out since he was moving in with his girlfriend in a different apartment. Sure, I was happy for him to move to take the next step in the relationship, but at the same time, I was sad to be losing a good roommate. But I was actually was doing my well enough for me to live on my own. But after a while, I started getting a little bit lonely at my own apartment since I have one guest room that some of my other friends use when they sleep over for the night. But I decided it has been a while since Michael had moved out, so I decided to look for a new roommate. I asked some of my friends if they knew anyone that was looking for a room to rent for a time being, even if it's temporarily or permanent. But none of them actually didn't know anyone except for one, a very close friend of mine. He actually said that he had a friend that was looking for a room to stay in. And so I set up a meeting with my friend's other friend, a girl by the name Rachel. At the first meeting, she seemed to be quite very outgoing person, no problems at all. I do have to set the rules for her, and she actually applied for all of them. She seems to be actually quite happy to at least follow my rules, and I was happy for it. So we set a date for her to move in, and I had contacted my landlord about this, and he was actually approved since he also found out she was able to pay part of the rent as she was applying for. And then the day came when she moved in. She was actually very outgoing still, had no problems, no issues whatsoever. And in fact, she didn't even have much things with her. Surprising enough though, she was actually living with another friend of hers and she only had a few things, like a few books, personal items, and other things, but not much big things. Since there was already a bed in the guest room and some other things that were dressers, but she only had a few clothes. Even when she looked at the room, she said, told her, I know this is small, but she said with a big smile that is actually perfect because she used to have a small room when she was growing up herself, she said. And I left it at that. So, so that same evening, me and Rachel actually decided to have something to do, like watch some movie and I ordered pizza for us. I just wanted to break the ice and try to make her feel comfortable in a new place with a new guy that she doesn't even really know. And she was actually a very hilarious person to be around. So we started talking a bit more about ourselves and like found out we have some things in common. And I asked her if she had a boyfriend or something like that. She said that she used to have a boyfriend, but turns out she was one of those side chicks, as she called it. I was stunned, but it turns out that her boyfriend was cheating on her with another girl, and she was devastated when she found out. She asked me if I had a girlfriend, and I said I actually had one. And she said, that girl is a lucky girl to have such amazing guy like you. I smiled and said, yeah, she is. And ever since then, things started to look very perfect and well. She went to work normally as I did. She often was didn't come home sometimes maybe an hour after I did. But it was only like a few weeks after she had moved in when something started to look unplaced. At first, I didn't know what to thought about it, but I brushed it off. Maybe that she was having a strange behavior, like it happened that she was screaming on the phone with someone in her room, and I didn't pay attention to that, and I didn't even ask her about it. Only that only asked over dinners like if she had any problems. I mean, I only overheard her screaming on the phone. She said about it was just a friend of hers just having a bad day, and that she accused her for causing the problem, but she brushed it off, so I accepted it. And, and then it was fine after a couple of weeks again, but then suddenly things started to change a little bit more. Because they have been for about almost 2 months since Rachel moved in. She started to give a lot of strange signals. Like, she was like almost hitting on me for some reason. She makes it almost clear attention that she had felt attracted towards me. Because one evening when we were drinking while watching something on TV, I don't even remember what it was. But she was clearly a little bit wasted at that point when she clearly says right out that she actually felt I was very cute and I should probably would I she felt jealous about my girlfriend. She had found this great guy like me, and that I should probably dump my girlfriend and I should be with her instead because she's even more attractive, she's more beautiful, and honestly though, I mean I do think that Rachel is quite attractive. I don't lie about that. And even I mentioned to my girlfriend about it that Rachel is quite attractive, but not attractive enough, and I don't have any such romantic feelings towards Rachel. And my girlfriend knows about it since she and I have been together since high school. And I really didn't know anything about Rachel like that. But I just left it off and just brushed it off. Maybe she just was drunk and that she wasn't didn't know what she was talking about. And but the next morning, when I asked her about it, just to comment about what she said, she actually blushed and said that I really said that. I nodded and said, "Yeah, actually you did." But I said, "Don't worry, I know you were drunk and you didn't know what you're thinking about or was saying." She was silent for a moment, but then she actually confessed that she were in love with me and that she really wanted to be with me, and that I should really dump my girlfriend because I felt very awkward about it, and I said, "Oh, look at the time. I have to go to work." So I left the apartment and went to work. And during my shift, though, I actually get a text message from Rachel just saying that, hoping I have a good day, and she will see me later back home and for once, when I actually got home, I really found out that she was sitting on the bed on the couch watching some TV 1 hour before I did. Because normally she only works 1 hour later than me. Not this time. I asked her about it, and it seems that her boss actually gave her allowed her to go home 1 hour early, which wasn't that much uncommon for me. So I brought it up. So we sat down and watched some TV, and then suddenly she said that she had just cooked dinner for us, and I was like, "That's a nice surprise, and I didn't mind it though. I mean, if we take turns to cook dinner for each other, or even help together." But things started to acting a little bit strange because one day when I was looking at my Facebook, just going through some old messages and comment a post, and then when I saw that I was even a friend with Rachel, she said that she were in a relationship, and it was with me. And even though I should probably have talked to her about it, but I never did. But my girlfriend, she noticed that and asked me about it, if I was cheating on her or something. And I was really surprised because I told her straight what the things what it was about, and I said, "No, I'm even as strange. I'm really as stunned as you are. I mean, me and Rachel are friends on Facebook, and I didn't even expect this. I never even noticed until like now." I said, and my girlfriend believed me because we have been together for several years since middle school. So it didn't make sense for me to be lying about this. And sure, I'm very much outgoing, have no problem to trust people, but things about Rachel started getting a bit more stranger for every single day ever since. So I decided to reach out to my friend, the one who actually had suggested Rachel. So I called him. Hey, I have a question about your friend Rachel. Oh, but then when he confessed, Rachel wasn't really a friend of his, it turns out, but she was a friend of one of his friends. He was only acquaintance with her for a couple of times, and I asked him about some of the bad behavior of Rachel in the past. What was the reason why she moved out from her friend's old apartment? There were no any particular reasons, because her apartment that her old roommate was moving out, and Rachel didn't have enough afford to be paying that rent because that was a little bit more expensive. So that was the reason. And and my friend asked me why is suddenly asking about Rachel. At first, I didn't know what even to mention to him, but I had to become clear, so I did. So I did tell him everything that she has been doing for the past few months, and some of the statements, and even the Facebook statement about her relationship status. And he didn't know that. And when he looked it up himself, it's like, you weren't kidding. And she had even posted several posts on her page, stating that how much she loved this guy, that he is a very perfect gentleman, that he is a great guy. But she never mentioned me by name, but it was a good hint to like indication that was she was referring to me. And I was getting a little bit worried about now if she has been a little bit obsessed of me. So I asked my friend what to do. And instead, just ignore it. Maybe that she will realize that maybe you aren't interested in her at all. And I tried to follow his example. But after several weeks ever since that phone call, things didn't even still didn't die down. I still kept an eye on her Facebook account just to see what she is have removed the status, or if she has to stop posting about her imaginary relationship with me, but even has it. And in fact, after nearly about 6 months, she said not only that she's engaged with me, I was really now getting a bit worried. Even my girlfriend was now very hesitated to believe in this, thinking that Rachel had become some sort of mental unstable or something. Because one day when I was over to Daniel's new apartment with his girlfriend, I asked him about this, and he was also worried because I have been keeping him updated on all things about this. And I was getting worried about myself because I told him one particular reason, because one occurrence when me and Rachel was watching a movie and we had clearly been drinking, but she had drank more than I did. She was a little bit having a strong buzz at the time, and she said, I should probably kill your girlfriend so that I could be with you officially. I was creeped out, and as was Daniel. And his girlfriend overheard this, and she said, you should probably do something about it. I mean, if she really had that statement, she had also been informed about how to keep up with this. I mean, there was nothing I could do. There was nothing like I just could go to the police and telling them what's happening. Because without any actual recordings or any sort of threat towards my girlfriend or me, there was nothing that I could have done. So technically, she hadn't even committed any sort of crime. But my Daniel's girlfriend actually had a point. I should do something. So I did actually order a couple of cameras around, and I put them out around in an apartment in a hiding course, but just only as a safety precaution because I didn't want to mention this to Rachel. But as time went on, as Christmas came along, I was actually going to see my parents and siblings with my girlfriend for Christmas, since they lived a state away from us. So I told Rachel that I won't be home for the Christmas, and she was a little bit disappointed because I know that she wanted me to be at the apartment so she and I could spend the Christmas together. I asked her if she had any plans for the Christmas though, or for Christmas. Turns out she didn't had any particular family or friends that was interested to celebrate with her, so she would be herself. She even also made the indication that maybe that I could invite herself, also her. But I said I didn't have any extra room in my place that my parents. We only had one guest room, and that was my old room. And she said, "Oh, but I can sleep on the living room couch." But I said my brother was more likely to sleep on the couch, and my girlfriend and I was using my own room. She was a little bit upset that my girlfriend's coming, but not her. But I told her my family knows about my girlfriend because we are from the same town, and they had known her for years. And they barely know nothing about Rachel except I only mentioned to them that I have a new roommate. So she dropped it. But during the Christmas holiday, though, I didn't receive much anything from Rachel. Nothing at all. But on a Christmas Eve, I received a lot more text messages from Rachel saying that she just wished me a happy Christmas and I hope I have a good time with my family and that's just like that. But then it started getting a little bit strange because she said that I should come home faster soon so that we can spend the Christmas together. And she even sent her a picture of herself just in some sort of lingerie and a Santa hat and said, "Merry Christmas, I've been waiting for you." And she was in my bed. And I was not happy about this. So I showed this to my girlfriend and my family, at least my parents, and they were disturbed. They told me I should do something about this because this was way creepy from my inexperience. And my brother, he was a little bit older than me, he told me that I should do something. And I agreed, but I didn't know what. They probably said that I should probably evict her because this is really creepy. But I told her why. But then my girlfriend actually gave me an idea. Because we actually had been talking about moving in together for some time now, but I never mentioned this to Rachel. And to this day, and it's a good thing because if I did, I have no idea how she would react. So, but she even mentioned this. Why not just move back to our hometown, since it's a small town, and we even had talked about starting a family at some point. And our hometown was a quite small, and it's a very quiet, and it was a perfect place for raising a family. And I agreed. So we have decided to start looking for a house in our own hometown. Around New Year's, we actually found it, and I decided this was a perfect place. So I made a plan. When I get home, I will send some of my gifts, some of my personal items back home for next couple of days. So it just in a slowly rate so that my roommate Rachel would not even notice it. And when I did went home, Rachel was there. She was acting as nothing had happened. She just said that she had a good Christmas, even for herself. But I never mentioned about this moving idea. So slowly I removed the cameras and all that stuff and packed them and sent a few things over to my parents. But Rachel saw that I was doing some packing. I said, don't worry, it's just some old stuff I was thinking my parents for safekeeping. Well, she actually bought that idea. But after when I was nearly halfway through, I did say to my landlord that I was moving out, but I told him not to mention this to my roommate because I didn't want to have her feel guilty because if she'd done something. And he agreed. And after I had nearly had sent all my things over, I went back to my job and said I'm giving them my 2 weeks notice that I'm leaving and I thank my boss for the time has been experienced. And he said I was a great employee and a sad thing to see me go, but he wished me good luck and good things in the future. I promised to keep in touch with him since he was a great guy. So that same day, I actually went home to my own apartment for one of probably the last time, And I noticed that Rachel was actually home. After all, it was her day off work. She noticed that a lot of stuff had been missing, and she asked me what was going on. So I told her right there that I am moving out. She went ballistic. She's like, "How dare you to leave me here? Because I thought we were in love." I was dumbfounded. It's like, we in love? I told her straight and clear, "Rachel, we had never been in a sort of relationship. We had never even been engaged." She was stunned because I said, "I noticed your page. I thought you've been status as a relationship, then engaged, and then you have been posting statements about how this great guy, and you perfectly matched my description. It's great." She was not. She tried to make excuses that she wasn't referring to me, but she was referring to a guy that was she was stating. Well, perfectly that this guy was having the same name as me and almost sound like me. She tried to once again to make an excuse that I wasn't her, that guy. But then the thing is, I asked her, so, if this guy you have been dating or have been engaged to, why had I never seen him at the apartment or you never mentioned him? You never actually been out much to see this guy. Which is true, because every time she get home from work, she either stays in her room or in the living room area, watches on TV, but nothing else. Maybe there are a few occasions that she goes out, but she isn't even out for long. Maybe just probably in half an hour, maybe 20 minutes. And that is not even long enough to spend time with a boyfriend or her fiance. And she was stunned, and she was quiet. And I said, "Look, Rachel, I'm sorry, but I'm moving out. It's nothing I can do. I only told the landlord about this, and also I signed off. I quit my job, and I'm moving back with my girlfriend to my hometown." She went ballistic this time. And in fact, she was hiding a knife and said, "If I can't have you, she won't have you either." She was running towards me and tried to stab me, but luckily though, I stepped aside when she ran towards me, and I managed to run into my room, and I locked the door, and she stabbed the door with the knife. It was a big kitchen knife, and like, let me in, I want you to be with you. Please, don't do this to me, my love." She went insane. This was a true color of her true insanity, apparently. And I actually was on the call with the police when she was stabbing the door, and I told her, "I just called police. Stop." But she didn't even listen. She kept going on, and she even tried to tackle the door. And for good to even today, that door didn't even budge a single inch. It didn't take long for the police to even arrive to the station. I was really stunned that she was still stabbing, trying to knock down the door. They tried to talk to her calmly to try to drop the knife, but she refused. And then she tried to attack them. They tased her and arrested her. I pressed charges against her, and I told them the reason why it was happening. And in fact, I even showed them some of the recordings on the previous events. And they agreed she has needed some actually psychological help. And the last time I heard, she was actually taken to the hospital for a violation to see if her mental state is. And I was today stunned of her action. Even at the same day when the police took her, I took the plane trip with my girlfriend back home, and I didn't need to have to be in a charge, go to court or anything, because she was deemed as mental unstable. It turns out she actually had several mental disorders like bipolar, and she wasn't even taking her meds at all. I was like, that's strange. She never actually acted like that, but it turns out she was on her meds when she had moved in, but she started to stopped taking her meds around the time of New Year's Eve. That was like maybe a month after I was supposed to be moving out. Well, luckily, I haven't seen her since. Ever since I moved back home, me and my girlfriend actually got engaged and even got married about almost 2 years later, and we actually have two boys and one daughter of our own. And I'm still grateful that my girlfriend believed me despite all this strange craziness that Rachel was showing on her Facebook account. It happened that she tried to reach out to me once, but I told her once again, don't contact me ever again, Rachel. I don't want to have nothing to do with you. I'm happily married, and I would nothing want to have nothing to do with you ever again. And I blocked her. Ever since then, she hasn't bothered me whatsoever, or my wife, which I'm very grateful for. But once again, though, Rachel, if you try to reach out to me or my wife or any of my family or friends, especially me, please, please stay away from me. And and for once, let's not meet ever again. Thank you.